Standing by. Roll everyone. Let's go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are in. We're coming to you live from Chikunda Malema area in the Masisi village, Vembe district to be precise, COGHSTA LiMpopo. This area has been a hive of activities since the morning. I mean, a whole lot of us have been here very early. My name is Ike Ngobeni, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to you. Now, the Department of Corporate Governance, Human Settlement and Traditional Affairs brought us here today. That's the reason you get to see a whole lot of us here. But allow me to welcome our MEC, MEC Jerry Ndou. Can you kindly take us through, and the rest of the community that is listening to us in the 6 community radio stations that are available in the Vembe district this morning as to why exactly we're here?
No, thank you very much. The reason why we're here, firstly, Musina municipality, my constituents is here.
Yeah.
And secondly, since the EXCO was reconfigured, we're completing 100 days today in the new responsibility. Now we thought that we should then come here in our constituency, hand over first the house that we identified a family that needed it most. This family, they're a family of 6, 2 parents and children, and they were living in a very terrible conditions, and we felt let's do something to better their condition. And the first place where we went to is a school called Chikunda Malema Secondary School. It's a school which has been performing well under difficult conditions. And we felt when we went there last year, January, we discovered that one of the most critical need at that time was the ablution blocks, which were very few, and you find young girls going to the bush and boys also going to the bush to help themselves. And we thought let's help them by building ablution blocks, which we went there to look at them and progress, and we're quite satisfied with the progress. And secondly, we had gone there also to encourage matriculants, the class of 2018, to do better than last year, improve on 71%, and donate things that we think are needed, like sanitary pads, towels, and some school shoes for those that need them. We have donated about 80 pairs, and we have donated sanitary pads which can help young girls for at least 6 months.
Okay, I heard you saying 100 days into the office, and once you hear 100 days, that word or the days, 100 days seem to be very significant, in a number of occasions. If I were to take you back to 2010, we had to do a countdown from 100 to day 1 before the 2010 World Cup. Now we're talking 100 days into the office. What are the biggest challenges that you probably might have experienced within the department?
No, I think we remember we were taking over from our predecessor who did very well, and we're just continuing from the work that our predecessor has done. But of course we had to look at various areas on where we can be able to improve and speed up the processes. We came with, for instance, we completed our turnaround strategy on the housing delivery, which we believe it will help us to speed up the delivery of houses. And secondly, we had looked at the issue of our traditional leaders, the concerns that they have, for instance, renovation of traditional offices, which we've already appointed contractors to go and deal with about quite a number of them. We'll be building close to about 8 of traditional offices this year, which we have identified. We thought we should speed up those processes. And also in terms of local government, we have identified local municipalities, yes. Which in the view of the AG has classified them as dysfunctional. And we're working with them to try and improve their performance, identifying challenges, and looking at what the AG has identified, and working with them to try and improve on the management of municipalities, in particular financial management. And last week Friday we had a session with them just to look at how far we've gone in trying to in terms of progress, and we're quite happy with the progress. We've got 2 municipalities which we still think that they haven't moved, which is Mokgalakwena and MEC, which we're focusing on them now. But the rest of the other municipalities, we've seen significant progress, and we're happy that we're heading in the right direction.
Once you hear the words turnaround strategy, you know, minds start working, others think bigger problems and all of that. But when we look at COGHSTA as a department, is now a multi-award winning department. And this was obviously achieved by implementing a turnaround strategy. Is there a lesson or a leaf that other departments can pick from there?
You know, when you begin a financial, even before you go into a new financial year, you sit down in a strategic session, you put up your strategies and your programs. But on the way of the year, in the middle of the year or towards the, you then review on how far you have gone, whether your programs are still on track in terms of the targets that you have set. It is at that point then that you review the strategy and come up with what you call a turnaround strategy. Yeah. On how do we then review the strategy and the programs that we have had at the beginning of the financial year, so that we are able to speed up the process to achieve our targets as set out.
Taking you back to the end of October 2017, COGHSTA had a new sheriff in town. In this case, it's you. What I would want to find out from you is the fact, what were your, most immediate goals that you wanted to achieve?
You know, the problem of a reshuffle, or let me call it a reshuffle, is that you are not warned. You are told on the day, you hear the premier calling you into a session and say, I'm moving you here, I'm moving you here, I'm moving you here. Yeah. And you go in there and you sit back and say, I'm in a new office. Yeah. I think the first thing that you do, of course, is to engage with the incumbent who's about to move out, to try and find out what were the plans and what are the issues that was supposed to achieve, especially as it's in the middle of the year, it's the 3rd quarter of the year, and you are moving to the 4th quarter. Then you look at exactly what is it that we can be able to achieve within that 3rd quarter and the 4th quarter, and those are the things that we did, as I was explaining now, in terms of housing delivery, local councils, and the traditional leaders. It is important to know that in the sphere of municipalities, we had committed ourselves that come this coming year, we want to make sure that we don't talk about dysfunctional municipalities. There's no need for us to be talking about that. We need municipalities that should be able to have capacity to deliver their basic mandate, which is they must be able to deliver services to our people. And that's the basic mandate of the municipality. They're on the coalface of delivery, and when you've got municipalities that are dysfunctional, then which means your delivery at that level, it's affected. And that's what we thought we'll focus on.
In the midst of, the challenges that the country is going through right now, we talk of water shortages, issues with low-cost housing and all of that. I mean, we see our communities as we speak, half the time they're at loggerheads with a particular department, and, the little infrastructure that we have is compromised in the process. And in that regard, they want their voice to be heard. This time around, I want to know from you, is there any particular way that, the communities can be in touch with you as the department just to raise their concerns?
There are several ways. One of them is to get in touch with us through the telephones, and raise the issues. The second way, we normally have what we call our outreach programs. They call them, our officials like calling them IMBIs.
Yes.
Yeah, those outreach programs allow us to interact with communities and be able to get what are the real issues that communities are worried about, and assist us to come back and be able to plan on how to respond to them. Let me give you an example on the issue of the municipalities, which is what concerns us most, because that's the delivery. Our success on delivery of service depend on the capacity of municipalities. We have put up what we call a rapid response team. We should be able to respond, or even before then, go in, do a diagnostic, come back and say, this is the things that if we don't do, we might have a problem with the municipality. Then we're able to go in, talk to various stakeholders, and be able to find out what is happening. And that assists us a lot to be able to look at what community says and how we expect communities to respond. We have discouraged, and I think all of us will agree, that there are better ways for communities to raise their issues than to then resort on activities that are so destructive, like banning of government institutions, like libraries and community halls. We have discouraged that. We have said the impression of communities is that when you build a school, they believe it is a government school. Whereas when you build a school, that school belongs to the community. When you build a library, you're not building a library for government, you're building a library for that community. Now it is for that community to see to it that they protect and make sure that the building is secured.
On low-cost housing, I believe the whole country, seems to have had, predicaments throughout the whole process. Surely as a department, you've had a fair share of that. Are there, some of the things pertaining to that you'd like to share with the communities, the community, as well as the listeners at large?
No, we've done our own assessment on the performance in terms of delivery of low-cost housing, and we have identified several of those that are slowing us, and we are attending to them. One of them is non-performance of contractors, which we have taken a firm decision that you don't perform, you're out. That no more contracting people who don't have capacity. We look at your capacity, and if you have to allocate units to you, we'll allocate the units according to your capacity, so that we don't get a person who's graded level 1, is not registered with NHBRC, he gets 200 or 500 units, and the person then has difficulty, both financially and in terms of capacity to be able to deliver those houses, those units. And that slows us in achieving the targets that we've set. The other elements is liquidation of companies that are trying to deal with this delivery of units, and we've looked at that on various levels. Some contractors, you give them units, they then encounter financial problems on the way, and they decide to cede the contract to somebody. That somebody also had problems, and that gives us a challenge of slowing down these processes. Now we've identified all these challenges, and we've said we'll put up a program which will allow us to have a database that includes people with capacity. Those who are new into this, who want to enter the built environment, we'll have to help them to enter the built environment in a manner that makes them grow and not rush them. At the end of the day, they don't go anywhere, because the question that we always ask is that every year we've got contractors that are given units, but every year we don't have contractors who have got capacity, which means there's a problem somewhere. That as these contractors come in, where do they end up? Because in the following year, they are nowhere, we've got new ones. Following year, they are nowhere, they've got new ones, and we need to have to build capacity and a cohort of contractors that we know that these are our best contractors, these are the people that we can rely on, who have got high capacity to be able to deliver when we need them.
As a parting shot, 100 days into the office, we're talking about the multi-award winning department, COGHSTA. Where to from here?
No, we want to continue to be a multi-winning department. We've got a wonderful team in COGHSTA, Team COGHSTA, and we'll continue to do our best. We have, as I said, the weaknesses are always there in the system. We're working on them to try and improve so that we're able to do more. And we hope that as we go to the next awards, 2018 Coven Big Awards, we'll continue to shine and keep the flag of Limpopo up there. Make Limpopo proud as always. And that's what we're aiming. But our focus more is on what our mandate is. Ensure that we deliver on human settlement, ensure that we build a capacity for municipalities to be able to be the effective delivery machines at that level, and also ensure that we help and work with our traditional leaders to ensure that we've got that cooperative government of work which defines the role of traditional leaders and our role, and cooperate on issues of development at that level.
Honorable MEC, thank you so much for making time to be with us this morning.
No, no.
Yes, sir. All right, there you have it. This was our live broadcast coming to you live from COGHSTA Malema, that's down in the Masisi area. Thank you so much for making time to be with us this morning, and our colleagues in the radio stations that are around in the Vembe district. We just want to thank you a lot for the work done.
Thank you very much. Done. Let's go quickly. Okay, yeah, let's do it for the mayor. For the mayor, we'll join them. Sure. Thank you. Hey,